Gents, how you doing?
Yeah, well, thank you, Chris.
Great stuff. So John, you've been in the platform for a little while now, and obviously we're really keen to work with you because sort of social impact property investing is quite a hot topic. Could you just sort of give us a bit of an insight into your background and how you started out in property?
Yeah, I've been an international financial planner for many, many years. In fact, since 1991, when I was living in the Middle East. I've lived and worked in the Middle East, in Asia, in Europe. And a couple of years ago, I returned to the UK, still doing work with many of my clients who had been with me for many, many years. And they were getting to the stage of retirement and they wanted some secure form of income. And I looked around. I was already doing selling property to investors anyway, um, but I was looking around for something more secure from an income point of view, and I came across social housing. So Will and I have were working together when I was with a brokerage 18 months ago,
Mm.
and I came on board 6 months ago to head up the sales side. And so we've got a global reach. We have clients all over the world. Um, yeah, that's my history. But it is, it's a brilliant company. I'm going to say that because Will's here, but I say it anyway. It is a
Yeah.
brilliant company. It's a lovely job, and there is a feeling of satisfaction knowing that you are actually helping people. Whereas as an IFA before, yes, you help people, but it's very surface level. You don't know what goes behind the investment that they're investing into. Whereas here, you really do.
Great. And Richard, is that what attracted you to Belly Capital? Is that having that impact on the wider property industry from a not only an ethical point of view, but from supporting people that might necessarily need that support?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we always talk about win-win scenarios and trying to find a win-win, but we believe this is it goes further than that. It's a win-win-win. So basically, it's an opportunity to invest ethically and provide a service while giving great returns. So not only do we support people who support people. Yeah, it's a great platform. I've always been drawn to service. My background was I did 17 years as a frontline operational firefighter. So it's always been important to me to feel like the job that I'm doing gives a contribution. That's really a key focus for me. So to be able to do that in a different role now and help people and provide quality housing to people who need support is great.
Fantastic. And well, obviously your name on the door. How did you come up with the idea? Where did it all start?
So I guess we kind of fell into it as most people do. I was in a different investment industry for 10 years or so and completely upped sticks, moved to the other end of the country, moved into the property industry, not a clue, quite several years ago now. Was quite heavily involved in the buy-to-let sector, and got far too involved in the kind of nitty-gritty detail of stuff with lettings and boilers and management and all that stuff. And so the first time I found out about it was almost by mistake, stumbling across buying a property that was let to a supported housing provider. And this was pre-COVID. And it kind of just blew my mind how the solution to all of just from an investment point of view initially, how all of those problems get solved by buying a well-structured supported housing property. There's nothing to do with it anymore. If you do it right, it can be set and forget. And then as I got more and more into it, I just fell in love with the fact that we've got something where we can make money and do good for people at the same time. And I think that's incredibly rare. And I think we've got a great opportunity here to really expand that and make a real difference, but also have a good commercially viable business at the same time. And it's just grown and grown and grown as more people have become attracted to it. John and Rich, we've worked with each other before for years, as with most of the rest of the team. We kind of all interacted with each other before. And now I'd just say we're in a really fortunate position where it feels like everyone who's in the business is so invested in the results that we can have everywhere. And it's just a great place to be. It's exciting what the next few years looks like.
Yeah, I remember sort of 8 years ago being an estate agent, and it was very rare you would get someone that would come out and they would find a bungalow and basically they'd want to convert it ready for, people that needed sort of access, and they would either have someone to live in care, give give off a sort of care support, or they were basically looking to provide it for a social housing provider. But now it seems like that's sort of becoming quite a sort of regular topic, and people are always looking for those opportunities. So for people on the call that might have just done a standard buy to let, or they're starting out on their property journey, what is supported housing, and what is it that Bailey Capital do to support those kind of property investors?
So supported housing in its simplest form is buying a property and then leasing it to a housing association or a care company that is then funded by the government in some form to care for and house various types of vulnerable people. From the investor point of view, what you should get and normally get for doing that is a property that is then taken off your hands, and normally the housing providers will take it on the way that we do it, on a fully repairing and insuring basis. So you're providing a property that's fit for purpose in the standard that a housing provider needs, in an area that it needs. And for that, you should be receiving pretty hands-off, long-term government-funded rent.
Great. And what John, what in terms of Bailey Capital, what is it that you guys do on that front? So you work obviously with lots of property investors around the country,
Around the world.
around the world. Apologize. So yeah, obviously with those international clients, with those domestic clients, what is it that you're doing for them?
So basically, their requirement it falls into two areas. They need to produce some income, steady, guaranteed, certain income for the long term, or in a lot of cases, certainly from the UK point of view, they are existing buy-to-let landlords and they're just finding it onerous. And the prospect of having a hands-free investment that pays you a given amount every month, it's index linked and it's completely hands-free, is just, it's a no-brainer. I'm a landlord, and I'm quite lucky. I don't have too many problems, but when I do, they're normally quite expensive, and so suddenly I see a lot of my profits disappearing. Whereas with this, you don't have that.
Great. So you guys pretty much handle everything in terms of sort of maintenance and looking after the property.
Yeah. So as Will said, the leases are fully repairing and insuring. So the housing provider who leased the property, they will take care of all the maintenance. The only thing you need to consider is buildings insurance to insure your asset as you would in any other asset that you own. And that's to take care of major structural damage.
Great stuff.
So
And
if your boiler breaks, you'll never hear about it. If a window gets damaged, you won't need it. You won't know about it. If the paint, needs repainting, it's taken care of. You will never hear about it.
amazing. And Richard, what do you think some of the biggest misconceptions are around supported living and social housing?
There are many, but I would say the single biggest misconception is that it's easy to do. It certainly isn't that, and certainly not to do it properly and to do it at scale. There are many challenges, and there's we've got a team who's well versed in each aspect of it, that's all looking after their own individual bit. But there are many sort of ducks that you need to get into a row, and lots of different facets to the industry, to the setting up of a lease, to agreeing with local authorities what they need. It's certainly not easy. Some of the other misconceptions I feel are one of the main ones around the tenant type. A lot of the questions I get asked about who we have in our properties. One of the first ones is it asylum seekers? I mean, that's just one aspect of supported housing, and there is a stigma around people in social and supported housing, which I think needs to be challenged. Some of the people that we've helped, some of the people that I've met, some of the some absolutely great individuals, all with their own stories. And all who have fallen on hard times for many different reasons and many different circumstances. So it's yeah, it's really great to be able to sort of be there and provide the cornerstone of their rehabilitation, which is somewhere safe, warm, comfortable that they can call home and be proud to live in.
Great. And you mentioned there that sort of they come from a wide background, sort of very different scenarios. What sort of examples are the kind of people that you're supporting?
So we house people from everything from general needs, homelessness, rehabilitation from substance misuse. We house children who are leaving care. There are obviously, as I mentioned, asylum seekers. One of the biggest needs we've got in the country at the minute is unaccompanied asylum seeking children. So you can imagine the horror that, you know, you've lost your family, you've lost your home, you've been moved into a new into a new country where you don't know anybody. That's something that's really sort of close to my heart. And we've got a number of projects in the pipeline at the minute that's going to deliver homes to children in that circumstance. Offenders coming out of prison, or the mental health support. There's people who are fleeing from domestic violence. There's just so many different aspects and so many different cohorts of tenants. And generally what you need to be doing is working with a provider who specializes in each individual aspect. Some cross many of the different areas, but we do also work with specialist providers, for example, care operators who operate children's homes, and then they need somewhere to put the children when they get to that 16, 18 years of age. They need help to sort of transition from being in care to just being a normal member of society. So there's lots of different aspects and lots of different people that fall into the need for supported housing.
Yeah, definitely. And I imagine with that sort of wide array of people, it's extremely rewarding to be able to support so many people. Well, obviously, with that amount of people that you're looking after or supporting, there's got to be quite a few challenges in that. And for anyone that's, you know, thinking of going out and doing this on their own, could you give a bit of an insight into some of the sort of challenges that you have on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot. It would take a while to go through them all. I feel like our business is just finding new challenges every day and working out how we overcome them, to be honest with you. Our goal with this all, and I'll come to challenges in a second, is in terms, just to go back to the people point, is that as long as the investment can be proven to deliver a positive impact, and we can measure it and demonstrate it, and it can deliver a positive return, we'll do it. That's our overall premise. And then this, like Rich said, there's so many people that fall into that. The challenges that come with this, challenges that we've found are there's loads of people trying to do it, you know, and that means that how good housing associations, local authorities are probably getting called daily by people wanting to do supported housing. But most of those people come across, and lots of people, I would say, are not necessarily fully invested in the social impact side of it. And from a care provider or a housing association point of view, I'd say they're probably getting frustrated with being called by a brand new developer every 10 minutes who wants to invest in supported housing and says the same thing to them. So I'd say that's going to be a challenge, is kind of breaking in to work with new housing providers and building trust. That's the biggest asset that we've had over the years, is that the housing providers that we work with know us, trust us, wouldn't work with anyone else because there's no need for them to. Finding the right properties is always incredibly hard. Richard makes it look easy, but it's a tricky business. Finding them in the right area, getting the local authority to approve them, then getting the care provider to approve them, and making them commercially stack up, and having all of those boxes ticked before someone else has bought the property. That's a challenge. That's a challenge and a half. So being able to do all of those things that you need to do to make it safe and act quickly enough is a tricky business. So the other point, I suppose, getting started, is where it's really hard is getting started in a new area. We're going through this recently in a new area in North Yorkshire. We bought 2 blocks of flats there 18 months ago, just over that. We're just getting them moved into in the next couple of weeks now. That's 18 months, a load of money, a load of time, a load of headache. And now, though, in that town, we're set up and we're ready to go. We've done that, so anyone who invests with us can just plug straight into that work. But if you're a private investor and you've got limited capital and limited resources, doing that and taking that level of time and that level of risk is hard. It's hard to go through.
Great stuff. And you mentioned trust in that, and I think on the surface, a lot of people would immediately think that this is a sort of bricks and mortar business, but it's quite clear to me that it's all based on relationships and the trust that you're building with those companies and with those individual people.
100%. It happens to be property, but really what makes it work, although we do this thousands of times over, property by property, what makes it work is that there's one person in one property that's got their own story and their own problems, and they're receiving care and support, and that's funded by the government because that care and support is helping them be a better person and live a better life. It really comes down to that detail of that one person. And there are so many relationships between us all needed to make that work, but it comes down to that one person having a good home, as Rich said, a safe place, a warm place, somewhere to be proud of, and receiving a leg up and care and support. And it's all about that. The model actually only works if that bit is,
Are you enjoying this webinar preview? Well, if you are, head on over to the UK Homes Network app, where as a premium member, you'll be able to watch this video back in its full version. You'll also be able to access all of our webinars from a range of industry experts and thought leaders from across the property industry. Not only that, as a premium member, you'll have access to our exclusive deal sharing groups, where you'll be able to post your property requirements or even access some of the deals that our members are sharing within the platform. You'll also get a range of exclusive discounts from our friends and partners at UK Homes Network. Just head on over to the UK Homes Network app by downloading UK Homes Network in your app store. Creating a profile takes a couple of seconds, and you'll be able to network with thousands of property professionals from across the country. I look forward to seeing you there.